I stood in the center of the Grand Meridian Ballroom, surrounded by crystal chandeliers and people in expensive clothes. Everyone was laughing. But they were laughing at me. My husband Marcus stood 10 feet away. His hand rested on another woman's waist. His mouth curved into a smile I didn't recognize anymore. "Tell them, Elena," he said. His voice carried across the silent crowd. "Tell everyone about your little project. Your cute little business idea." The words felt like knives. Each one cut deeper than the last. I looked down at my dress. It was the nicest thing I owned. I'd saved for 6 months to buy it. Now it felt like a costume. Like I was pretending to be someone I wasn't. I'm starting a tech company," I whispered. More laughter. It echoed off the marble floors. "A tech company." Marcus threw his head back. "My wife thinks she can run a tech company. She can barely work her own phone." The woman beside him giggled. Her name was Vivian Archer. She worked at Marcus's company. Everyone knew about them. Everyone except me until tonight. "Marcus, please," I said. "Please what?" His eyes were cold now. "Mean. Please stop telling the truth. You're embarrassing yourself, Elena. You're embarrassing me." I felt something break inside my chest. It wasn't my heart. Hearts break clean. This was different. This was every piece of who I was shattering into dust. But through that pain something else grew. Something dark and quiet and patient. I smiled. It was a small smile. Barely there. "You're right," I said softly. "I am embarrassing myself." I set down my champagne glass. The sound it made was like a bell. "I should go." Marcus waved his hand, dismissing me. Already turning back to Vivian. Already forgetting I existed. I walked out of that ballroom with my head high. Behind me the party continued. The laughter faded. They had no idea what they'd just created. They had no idea that in exactly 1 year I would stand in that same ballroom. In a better dress. With a different smile. And Marcus would be the one begging. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start at the beginning. Before we continue, please write in the comment which country you are watching this video. We love knowing where our global family is tuning in from, and if this is your first time on this channel, please subscribe. Your support helps us bring even more epic revenge tales of life. Enjoy listening. 6 years earlier I met Marcus Reed at a coffee shop in downtown Seattle. I was 24. He was 28. I was working 2 jobs and taking night classes in computer science. He was already climbing the corporate ladder at TechCore Industries. "You have coffee on your nose," he said, sitting down at my table without asking. I wiped my nose, embarrassed. "Thanks. I'm Marcus." He held out his hand. "Elena." His handshake was firm. Confident. Everything I wasn't. "What are you reading?" He nodded at my textbook. "Advanced Programming. It's for class." "You're in computer science?" His eyebrows went up. "That's impressive." No one had ever called me impressive before. We talked for 3 hours. He bought me another coffee. Then another. He told me about his job, his dreams, his plans to start his own company someday. I told him about my dreams too. About the app one wanted to build. A platform that would help small businesses manage their inventory and sales. Something simple. Something that could help people like my parents, who'd lost their restaurant because they couldn't keep track of their finances. "That's brilliant," Marcus said. His eyes were bright. Excited. "You should do it." "Maybe someday," I said. "When I have the money. The knowledge. The courage." "You already have the courage," he said. "You're here, aren't you? Studying. Working. Fighting." I fell in love with him that day. Or maybe I fell in love with the way he made me feel. Like I was worth something. Like I could be someone. We got married 2 years later. Small ceremony. My parents came. His parents didn't. They thought he was marrying beneath him. They were right in a way. Marcus came from money. Old money. His father owned half the real estate in Seattle. His mother sat on charity boards and country club committees. I came from nothing. My parents were immigrants. My father worked construction. My mother cleaned houses. They'd given me everything they had, which wasn't much. But it was enough to get me through community college. Enough to give me a chance. "Don't worry about my parents," Marcus said on our wedding night. "They'll come around. And even if they don't, we have each other. That's all that matters." I believed him. For the first 3 years marriage was good. Marcus started his own company, Reed Technologies. It was small at first. Just him and 2 other guys working out of a garage. I helped where I could. I did the bookkeeping. Answered phones. Made coffee. I put my own dreams on hold. My app could wait. Marcus needed me. Once the company takes off, he promised, you can work on your project. I'll help you. We'll do it together. The company did take off. Faster than anyone expected. Marcus landed a huge contract with a major retail chain. Then another. Then another. Money started flowing in. We moved from our apartment to a house. Then from the house to a mansion in Bellevue. Marcus hired a real staff. Professional bookkeepers. Actual secretaries. People with degrees and experience. He didn't need me anymore. You should relax, he said. Enjoy yourself. Get a hobby. But I didn't want a hobby. I wanted purpose. I wanted to build something. I wanted to matter. I started working on my app again. Late at night after Marcus fell asleep. Early in the morning before he woke up. I taught myself new programming languages. Watched tutorials. Read forums. Took me 2 years to build the first version. It was rough. Buggy. But it worked. I showed it to Marcus over breakfast one Saturday. Look, I said, pulling up the interface on my laptop. It's finished. The basic version anyway. I call it Inventory IQ. He glanced at the screen. Didn't really look. That's nice, honey. I was thinking I could beta test it with some small businesses in the area. Get feedback. Maybe apply for startup funding. Startup funding? Now he looked at me. Really looked at me. Elena, that's a big step. I know. But I think it's ready. I think it could really help people. He set down his coffee. How much money are we talking about? To really launch it? Maybe 50,000. For marketing, server costs, hiring a designer to clean up the interface. $50,000. He said it slowly, like I'd suggested burning the money in the backyard. It's an investment, I said. My voice was getting smaller. I could pay it back. Once the app starts generating revenue. Elena. He reached across the table. Took my hand. His grip was gentle. Too gentle. Like I was fragile. I love that you have hobbies. But this is the real world. Building a successful app isn't like following a recipe. It takes business experience, connections, skills that, honey, you just don't have. Each word was a small cut. I could learn, I whispered. Of course you could. But why put yourself through that stress? You don't need to work. You have everything you need right here. I pulled my hand away. I need more than things, Marcus. Something flickered across his face. Annoyance. Then it was gone, replaced by that gentle smile. Tell you what. Why don't you volunteer somewhere? The animal shelter is always looking for help. Or you could join one of the charity boards with my mother. She'd love that. He stood up. Kissed the top of my head. I have to get to the office. Big meeting with investors. He left. I sat there staring at my laptop screen. At the 2 years of work he'd dismissed in 2 minutes. That was 3 years ago. I didn't give up. I kept working on the app. Made it better. Tested it myself, tracking my own expenses, managing our household inventory. It worked beautifully. But every time I brought it up to Marcus, he changed the subject. Or patted my hand. Or said something that sounded supportive but wasn't. That's great, honey. Keep at it. Maybe someday. Never yes. Never now. Never you can do this. I started to shrink. To fold into myself. I attended Marcus's business dinners and smiled at the right times. I went to charity luncheons with his mother and her friends, women who looked at me like I was a stray dog Marcus had brought home. I became what they wanted. The decorative wife. The pretty accessory. I almost forgot who I used to be. Then came the gala. The Grand Meridian Spring Gala was the event of the season. Everyone who was anyone in Seattle's tech scene would be there. Marcus had been talking about it for weeks. This is important, he said the morning of the event. Richard Castellano will be there. If I can get him to invest in the expansion, we could double our revenue by next year. That's wonderful, I said. He looked at me. Really looked. You'll need to make a good impression tonight, Elena. Wear the blue dress. The Versace one. And for God's sake, don't talk about that app thing. That app thing has a name. Inventory IQ. He sighed. Elena. Please. Just for tonight. Can you just be my wife? I felt something cold settle in my stomach. What do you think I've been for the past 6 years? You know what I mean. He was already walking away. I need you to be charming, sophisticated, not talking about coding or whatever. He left for the office. I stood in our enormous kitchen surrounded by marble and stainless steel and felt completely hollow. I wore the blue dress. I did my hair the way his mother liked it. I put on the diamond necklace he'd given me for our anniversary, the one that probably cost more than my parents' house. I looked in the mirror and barely recognized myself. We arrived at the Grand Meridian at 7. The ballroom was magnificent. Crystal chandeliers cast rainbow light across white marble floors. Ice sculptures melted slowly in corners. Waiters circulated with champagne and tiny expensive foods. Everyone was beautiful. Everyone was rich. Everyone belonged there. Except me. Marcus. A tall man with silver hair approached us. Richard Castellano. The investor Marcus wanted so badly. Richard. So good to see you. Marcus shook his hand. Didn't introduce me. They talked business. I stood beside Marcus holding my champagne, smiling when appropriate. Being decorative. More people joined the conversation. Thomas Wu, who ran a competing tech firm. Sandra Hayes, a venture capitalist. Gregory Archer and his daughter Vivian, who I recognized from Marcus's company parties. Vivian wore a red dress that probably cost more than my car. She had perfect skin, perfect hair, perfect everything. She touched Marcus's arm when she laughed. He didn't move away. So, Marcus, Richard said. I hear Reed Technologies is looking to expand into artificial intelligence. Bold move. Very bold, Marcus agreed. But necessary. AI is the future. Do you have the infrastructure for that? Sandra asked. AI development requires significant resources. We're building the infrastructure now, Marcus said. In fact, I've been developing a prototype system that could revolutionize inventory management for small businesses. My head snapped up. What? Everyone looked at me. It was the first word I'd spoken in an hour. Sorry, darling, Marcus said smoothly. Business talk. Probably boring for you. No, I said. My heart was pounding. You said inventory management for small businesses. What kind of system? Marcus's smile tightened. Just something we've been working on at the office. Nothing interesting. It sounds interesting, Richard said. Tell us more. Marcus shot me a warning look. Then he launched into a description. Of an app. Of a platform. Of features and benefits and target markets. He was describing my app. Inventory queue. Every detail. Every feature. Everything I'd built. But he was describing it as his. As something his company was developing. The world tilted. That's fascinating, Sandra said. When do you expect to launch? 6 months, Marcus said. We're in final testing now. You're lying. The words came out before I could stop them. Silence crashed over the group like a wave. Excuse me. Marcus's voice was ice. That's not your system, I said. My voice was shaking. That's mine. I built that. I showed it to you. I asked you for help launching it. Marcus laughed. Actually laughed. Honey, you're confused. I'm not confused. I was getting louder. People around us were turning to look. I spent 2 years building that app. Inventory queue. I showed you every version. I asked you to help me launch it and you said no. You said I didn't have the skills. You said, Elena. His voice cut like a razor. You're making a scene. Because you stole from me. Now people were definitely staring. You took my work. My idea. You're presenting it as yours. That's insane, Marcus said. But his eyes were panicked now. Darting to Richard, to Sandra, to all the important people watching this unfold. You played around with some coding tutorials. That's not the same as developing a commercial product. I didn't play around. I built a functioning application. I have it on my laptop at home. I have all the files. All the documentation. Time-stamped. Thomas Wu stepped forward. Is this true, Marcus? Of course not, Marcus said. My wife has a hobby. She does some basic coding. But what Reed Technologies is developing is far more advanced. Professional. Not something a housewife could create in her spare time. Housewife. The word hit like a slap. That's not fair, I said. I'm not just. You're embarrassing yourself, Marcus hissed. And you're embarrassing me. Vivian moved closer to Marcus. Proactive. Maybe you should take a break, Elena. Get some air. Who asked you? I snapped. Don't talk to her like that, Marcus said. His voice was sharp now. Vivian is a valued member of my team. She's been helping me develop this project for months. She actually understands technology. The implication was clear. You don't. Once. I stared at him. You've been working on this with her for months? Something passed between Marcus and Vivian. Look. A connection. And suddenly I knew. I knew everything. You're sleeping with her. It wasn't a question. Vivian's face flushed. Marcus's jaw tightened. You're sleeping with her, I repeated. Louder. And you stole my app to impress her. To give her a project to work on. To make her feel important. Elena, stop. Marcus grabbed my arm. His fingers dug into my skin. You're hysterical. I'm not hysterical. I'm right. The crowd around us had grown. Everyone was watching. Some people had their phones out. Marcus saw them. Saw his carefully constructed reputation crumbling. That's when he made his choice. To save himself, he would destroy me. You want to know the truth? His voice carried across the ballroom. Fine. Here's the truth. My wife is delusional. She has been for years. She obsesses over this fantasy of being a tech entrepreneur, but she has no actual skills. No education. No experience. I've tried to be supportive. I've encouraged her hobbies. But this. He gestured at me like I was a problem to be solved. This is too much. People were nodding. Believing him. Tell them, I said. My voice broke. Tell them about the files on my computer. The GitHub repository in my name. Tell them. The files you copied from publicly available templates, Marcus said smoothly. The repositories you forked from other developers. Lena, honey, I've seen your work. It's amateur hour. You can't honestly believe you invented something valuable. I didn't copy anything. Then explain why our system is so much more advanced than anything you've shown me. He turned to Richard. I apologize for this. My wife, she needs help. Professional help. I've been trying to get her to see someone. You bastard, I whispered. See. Marcus looked around at the crowd. This is what I deal with. The paranoia. The accusations. The delusions. Vivian touched his arm. Comforting. It's okay, she murmured. We understand. That's when I realized. They'd planned this. Maybe not this exact scene, but something like it. They'd been working together for months. On my app. On their relationship. On pushing me out. I looked at Marcus. At the man I'd loved. The man I'd supported. The man I'd sacrificed my dreams for. He looked back at me like I was nothing. Tell everyone about your little project, Elena, he said. His tone was mocking now. Playing to the crowd. Tell them about your cute little business idea. And that's when we returned to where we started. To the prologue. To the moment everything changed. I stood there in my expensive dress that felt like a costume. I looked at the people watching me with pity and amusement. I looked at my husband with his mistress. And something inside me died. Something soft. Something kind. Something else was born in its place. I'm starting a tech company, I said quietly. The laughter started. Rolling through the crowd like thunder. Marcus threw his head back. A tech company. My wife thinks she can run a tech company. She can barely work her own phone. More laughter. So much laughter. Marcus, please, I said. Please what? Please stop telling the truth. You're embarrassing yourself, Elena. You're embarrassing me. I felt that final piece break. Shatter. Dissolve into nothing. But underneath it something was growing. Something dark and patient and utterly ruthless. I smiled. Just a little. You're right, I said softly. I am embarrassing myself. I should go. I set down my champagne glass. The sound cut through the noise. I walked toward the exit. Head high. Back straight. Every eye following me. Behind me the party resumed. The music started again. The laughter faded. They thought I was broken. They had no idea I was just getting started. I didn't go home that night. I couldn't. The thought of that house, that bed, that life made me physically ill. I drove to the Hilton downtown and checked into a room. I paid with a credit card I'd opened secretly 3 months ago. A card Marcus didn't know about. I'd been planning to use it for launch costs for Inventory IQ. Now I'd use it to disappear. I sat on the hotel bed and opened my laptop. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely type. First, I backed up everything. Every file. Every line of code. Every documentation note. I uploaded it all to a secure cloud server. Then I emailed copies to myself at 3 different email addresses Marcus didn't know existed. Then I started searching. I needed a lawyer. A good one. Someone who specialized in intellectual property theft. It was midnight when I found her. Diane Martinez. Partner at Sterling & Associates. Her website said she'd won a massive settlement against a tech CEO who'd stolen code from his former employee. I sent her an email. Didn't expect a response until Monday. She replied in 20 minutes. Ms. Reed, I saw the video from tonight's gala. I believe you. Call me tomorrow at 9. We'll discuss your options. DM. Video. Oh God. Someone had filmed it. Of course they had. This was 2024. Everything was content. I searched Marcus's name on Twitter. On Instagram. On TikTok. It was everywhere. The entire scene. Marcus calling me delusional. Me accusing him of theft. Vivian touching his arm. The crowd laughing. But the comments were split. Half the people thought I was crazy. Embarrassing. A desperate housewife seeking attention. The other half thought Marcus was suspicious. Too smooth. Too quick with his explanations. Why would she make such a specific accusation if it wasn't true? He literally described an inventory management app and she called him on it immediately. Did you see his face when she mentioned the files? Guilty. That other woman is definitely his mistress. Look at how she's standing. I read every comment. Every take. Every opinion. Some people were tagging tech journalists. Asking them to investigate. Most ignored it. Rich CEO denies gold-digging wife's accusations. Not exactly news. But one journalist responded. Maya Reeves. She wrote for TechCrunch. Specialized in startup culture and ethics violations. This story has legs. If anyone has information about Elena Reed's claims, DM me. I screenshot everything. Saved it all. Then I searched for information about Marcus's company. Reed Technologies. When had they announced the inventory management system? When had development started? I found a press release dated 3 months ago. Reed Technologies announces revolutionary AI-powered inventory solution. 3 months ago. Right when Marcus had started working late all the time. Right when Vivian had been promoted to Special Projects Director. I felt sick. But I kept digging. Reed Technologies had secured $2 million in venture capital funding specifically for the inventory system development. From Richard Castellano's firm. Marcus had taken my work. Presented it as his own. And secured millions of dollars based on my stolen code. I threw up in the hotel bathroom. When I was done, I washed my face. Looked at myself in the mirror. My eyes were red. My makeup was ruined. I looked like hell. Good. I felt like hell. I went back to my laptop and kept working. By sunrise, I had a plan. It was rough. Possibly crazy. Definitely dangerous. But it was mine. At 9 a.m. sharp, I called Diane Martinez. Ms. Reed, she answered immediately. Thank you for calling. I've done some preliminary research on your case. Before we proceed, I need to ask you some questions. Okay. Do you have proof that you created the application your husband is claiming as his own? Yes. I have all the original files. They're time-stamped. I also have a GitHub repository under my personal account that shows the entire development history. Every commit. Every change. Dating back 2 years. Does anyone else have access to these files? My husband had access to my laptop. But the GitHub repository is private. He wouldn't have known about it. Good. Do you have any written communication where you discussed the application with him? Emails. Text messages. I'd send him updates sometimes. Ask for feedback. Even better. Are you currently living with your husband? No. I'm at a hotel. Stay there. Don't go home. Don't contact him directly. Do you have access to your own funds? I have a credit card he doesn't know about. And a checking account from before we got married. There's not much in it. How much? Maybe $8,000. That's enough. Ms. Reed, here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to file a lawsuit against your husband and Reed Technologies for intellectual property theft. Second, we're going to file for legal separation. Third, and this is important, we're going to make sure everyone knows your side of the story. But the video made me look crazy. The video made you look desperate. There's a difference. People respond to desperate. They root for the underdog. And right now, Ms. Reed, you are the ultimate underdog. He was right. I was a nobody going up against a millionaire CEO and his million-dollar company. What are my chances? I asked. Honestly, if your evidence is as solid as you say, quite good. But this won't be quick. Legal cases take time. And your husband has resources. He'll fight back. He'll make it ugly. It's already ugly. It's going to get worse. Can you handle that? I thought about Marcus's face last night. The contempt. The cruelty. The way he'd looked at me like I was garbage. Yes, I said. I can handle it. Good. Meet me at my office at 11. Bring your laptop. Bring everything. I did. Diane Martinez was a small woman with short gray hair and eyes like a hawk. She wore a black suit and no jewelry except a simple watch. She reminded me of my mother. Tough. No nonsense. The kind of person who didn't waste time on bullshit. I liked her immediately. We spent 4 hours going through everything. Every file. Every email. Every text message. She had a technical consultant with her, a man named James who examined my code and whistle blow. This is good, he said. Really good. Elegant solutions. Clean architecture. This wasn't written by an amateur. Can you prove it's hers? Diane asked. The GitHub repository is definitive. Every commit is tied to her account. Time-stamped. You can see the evolution of the code. No way this was copied or stolen from somewhere else. This is original work. Diane smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. It was a shark smile. We've got him, she said. We filed the lawsuit on Monday morning. By Monday afternoon it was news. Wife of tech CEO claims husband stole her code. Elena Reed sues husband's company for IP theft. Seattle's messiest divorce. Money, infidelity, and stolen software. My phone started ringing. Reporters. Journalists. Random people who'd seen the Gala video. I didn't answer. Diane had told me not to talk to anyone. But Maya Reeves from TechCrunch didn't call. She sent an email. Ms. Reed, I'd like to interview you for an article I'm writing about intellectual property theft in tech startups. I've reviewed the evidence you submitted to the court. I believe you. I want to help tell your story properly. Please consider it. I forwarded the email to Diane. Do it, she said. But we do it on our terms. I'll be present for the interview. We control the narrative. The interview happened Tuesday afternoon. Maya was younger than I expected, maybe 30, with bright pink hair and multiple ear piercings. She didn't look like a serious journalist. But when she started asking questions, I realized she was brilliant. Walk me through the timeline, she said. When did you first start developing inventory IQ? I told her everything. My parents' restaurant. The need I saw for simple business management tools. The 2 years of night work. Showing it to Marcus. His dismissals. His promises that never materialized. And when did you first hear about Reed Technologies developing an inventory management system? At the Gala. When Marcus described it to Richard Castellano. He never mentioned he was working on something similar? Never. He never took my project seriously. He called it a hobby. But he took it seriously enough to steal it. Yes. Maya leaned forward. I've seen your code. I've had 3 independent developers review it. They all agree it's sophisticated, original work. But here's my question. Why do you think your husband didn't believe you could create something valuable? No one had asked me that. Not Diane. Not the reporters calling for sound bites. No one. I thought about it. Really thought. Because he never saw me, I said finally. Not really. He saw the person he wanted me to be. The decorative wife. The support system. When I tried to be something else, something more, it didn't fit his image of me. So he dismissed it. He didn't steal my app because he thought it was brilliant. He stole it because it was convenient. Because Vivian needed a project. Because he needed something to show investors. I was just available. Invisible. Maya was writing furiously. One more question, she said. What do you want? What's your goal here? I thought about saying I wanted justice. or compensation, or acknowledgement. But that wasn't true. I want to destroy him, I said quietly. I want to take everything he built on my back and burn it to the ground. I want him to feel what I felt at that gala. Small, worthless, invisible. Maya stopped writing, looked at me. That's honest, she said. It's the truth. The article ran Wednesday morning. The headline, The Invisible Woman, How Tech Culture Enables Theft from Those It Refuses to See. It was perfect. Maya hadn't just reported facts. She'd woven a narrative. About me. About women in tech. About the way brilliant work gets dismissed when it comes from unexpected sources. She'd interviewed other women who'd had ideas stolen by bosses, husbands, colleagues. She'd included statements from the 3 developers who'd reviewed my code. She'd found other instances where Reed Technologies had been accused of questionable business practices. And she'd included screenshots of my GitHub repository, of my emails to Marcus, of the timestamp evidence showing I'd created Inventory IQ long before Reed Technologies announced their system. The article went viral. Suddenly everyone was talking about it. Tech Twitter exploded. Feminist blogs picked it up. Even mainstream news outlets started reporting. Is this Silicon Valley's most shameless theft? Elena Reed, the woman tech tried to erase. Reed Technologies faces serious IP theft allegations. Marcus issued a statement through his lawyer. It was full of legal language and denials. Mr. Reed strongly disputes these baseless allegations. Reed Technologies' inventory management system was developed independently by a team of qualified engineers. Ms. Reed's claims are without merit and appear motivated by the dissolution of the marriage. But public opinion was turning. People were angry. They wanted someone to pay. And Marcus was the perfect villain. Rich, arrogant, unfaithful, and now possibly a thief. Reed Technologies' stock price started to drop. Richard Castellano pulled his investment. 3 major clients put their contracts under review. I watched it all from my hotel room, feeling a dark satisfaction curl in my chest. Diane called Thursday morning. We need to talk about your endgame. Why endgame? This case could settle. Marcus's lawyers are already putting out feelers. They're worried about the publicity. They'll offer you money. Probably a lot of money. To make this go away. I don't want money. Everyone says that. Then they hear the number. I don't want money, I repeated. I want the company. Silence. Elena. He built Reed Technologies using my code. My work. He used me as free labor for years. I want the company. Or I want him gone from it. One or the other. That's ambitious. That's justice. More silence. Then, you know what? Let's go for it. I smiled. Over the next 3 months, my life became the lawsuit. Discovery. Depositions. Endless meetings with lawyers. Marcus fought back hard. His lawyers tried every tactic. They claimed I was mentally unstable. They dug into my past looking for dirt. They painted me as a gold digger who'd married for money and was now trying to steal a company. But Diane was better. For every attack she had a counter. For every lie she had evidence. The GitHub repository was damning. Every single commit was time-stamped and tied to my account. There was no way Marcus could explain away 2 years of detailed development history. His lawyers tried to argue that I'd backdated it somehow. James, our technical consultant, testified that GitHub's system made that impossible. The timestamps were verified by GitHub's servers. Unalterable. They tried to argue that I'd based my code on open-source templates. James showed that while I'd used some standard libraries, the core architecture and unique features of Inventory IQ were entirely original. They tried to argue that Marcus had improved upon my basic concept. Diane pointed out that the improvements Reed Technologies claimed to have made didn't actually exist yet. They'd announced features they hadn't built, based on a timeline they couldn't meet, using code they'd stolen. Slowly, piece by piece, we built an unassailable case. But the real battle wasn't happening in the courtroom. It was happening in the press, in social media, in the court of public opinion. And that's where I had an unexpected advantage. People loved me. Not me personally. They loved the story of me. The underestimated wife. The brilliant woman dismissed by her arrogant husband. The underdog fighting back. I became a symbol. Women tagged me in posts about their own experiences being overlooked. Tech workers shared stories of idea theft. Small business owners reached out to say they'd love to use Inventory IQ once it launched. I'd gone from invisible to iconic in 3 months. Maya Reeves wrote 2 follow-up articles. Other journalists jumped on the story. I was interviewed for podcast, featured in YouTube videos, discussed on morning talk shows. I didn't do most of the interviews. Diane advised me to stay quiet, let the evidence speak. But the few I did do, I was careful. Thoughtful. I talked about systemic issues in tech. About how innovation can come from anywhere. About the importance of giving credit where it's due. I never called Marcus names. Never acted bitter or angry. I stayed calm. Reasonable. Sympathetic. It made him look worse by contrast. Because Marcus couldn't stay quiet. His ego wouldn't let him. He went on a tech podcast and called me a opportunist using gender politics to steal from a legitimate business. He gave an interview to a business magazine where he said, "My soon-to-be ex-wife is a competent hobbyist at best. The suggestion that she could have created commercial-grade software is laughable." He posted on LinkedIn about frivolous lawsuits destroying innovation. Every time he spoke, his approval rating dropped. His company lost more clients. His reputation crumbled. It was beautiful. But I wasn't just watching Marcus destroy himself. I was building. I took the $8,000 from my old checking account and bought a cheap laptop. I rented a tiny studio apartment in a not-great neighborhood. I lived on instant ramen and coffee. And I rebuilt Inventory IQ from scratch. I couldn't use my original code. It was evidence in the lawsuit. But I could rebuild it. Better. Faster. With all the improvements I'd thought of over the past 2 years. I worked 18-hour days. Coded until my eyes burned. Tested every feature obsessively. By month 3 I had a working beta. By month 4 it was better than the original. I reached out to 5 small business owners who'd contacted me through social media. Asked if they'd be willing to test it. All 5 said yes. The feedback was incredible. They loved it. Found bugs, sure, but also confirmed that the core concept worked. That it solved real problems. That it was worth paying for. I was proving Marcus wrong with every line of code. The breakthrough came in month 5. Marcus made a mistake. A huge one. He gave a presentation at a tech conference. About Reed Technologies' revolutionary new inventory management system. The one that was supposedly in final testing. Except it wasn't in final testing. It wasn't even close to working. Marcus had been lying. Stalling. Hoping to settle the lawsuit before anyone realized that without my code he had nothing. A developer at the conference asked to see a demo. Marcus showed slides. Mockups. Talked about features. But he couldn't show actual working software. The developer pressed. Other people in the audience started asking questions. Marcus deflected. Made excuses. Said the demo version wasn't ready for public viewing. Someone recorded the whole thing. Posted it online. The tech community smelled blood. Within days, 3 more Reed Technologies clients canceled their contracts. The company's stock price dropped another 20%. Major tech blogs started running articles asking if Reed Technologies was a house of cards. Diane called me laughing. "Did you see Marcus's conference disaster?" I did. "This is good for us. Really good." His lawyers are panicking. They're asking for a meeting. About settlement? About surrender. The meeting happened 2 weeks later. Neutral location. Conference room at a downtown law office. Marcus was there. Vivian was there. 3 of his lawyers. Richard Castellano. A few board members from Reed Technologies. On my side, me, Diane, and James. I dressed carefully for this meeting. Simple black suit. Hair pulled back. Minimal makeup. I wanted to look professional. Competent. Nothing like the desperate woman in the blue dress at the gala. Marcus looked terrible. He'd lost weight. Had bags under his eyes. His expensive suit hung a little loose. Good. His lead lawyer, a man named Patterson, started the meeting. "We're here to discuss a resolution to this unfortunate situation." "Unfortunate," Diane repeated. "That's one word for it. My client is willing to offer a substantial settlement. $2 million. Plus a full release of any claims to the intellectual property in question. $2 million. It was a fortune. More money than I'd ever imagined having. "No," I said. Everyone looked at me. No. Patterson's eyebrows went up. Ms. Reed, that's a very generous offer. It's not enough. Then name your price. I looked at Marcus. Really looked at him. He was staring at the table. Couldn't meet my eyes. I want Reed Technologies, I said. The room exploded. That's insane, Patterson said. That's extortion, one of the board members said. That's justice, I said calmly. Marcus built his company using my stolen code. He secured funding based on my work. He made millions while telling me I was too stupid to understand technology. I want the company. All of it. Absolutely not, Marcus said. First words he'd spoken. I built that company. I grew it from nothing. You think because you wrote some code 2 years ago that you deserve everything I've worked for. You didn't build it from nothing, I said. My voice was steady. You built it from me. From my labor. My support. My ideas. You used me like a resource and then threw me away when I asked for recognition. So yes, Marcus. I think I deserve everything you worked for. Because you didn't work for it. You stole it. Richard Castellano cleared his throat. May I speak? Everyone turned to him. I've been watching this situation carefully, he said. I've reviewed the evidence. I've read the articles. I've talked to other investors. And I have to say, Ms. Reed, I believe you. Marcus's face went white. Moreover, Richard continued, I've been looking at Reed Technologies' financials. The company is struggling. The publicity from this lawsuit has damaged its reputation significantly. Client retention is down. Employee morale is down. Stock price is down. The inventory management system, which was supposed to be the company's big innovation, doesn't exist in any functional form. He looked at Marcus. You lied to me. You took my money based on stolen code you couldn't even successfully implement. Richard. I'm pulling out. I'm withdrawing all my investments from Reed Technologies. Effective immediately. The board members started talking at once. Panicking. Without Castellano's investment, we can't make payroll next month, one of them said. We need to restructure, another said. We need new leadership, a third said. All eyes turned to Marcus. This is her fault, Marcus said, pointing at me. She's destroying the company with her vindictive lawsuit. No, Richard said. You destroyed the company when you chose theft over innovation. When you chose your ego over ethics. He stood up, looked at me. Ms. Reed, if you do acquire this company, I'd be interested in discussing new investment opportunities. I believe in backing brilliant people. And you, unlike your husband, are the real deal. He left. His exit started a chain reaction. The board members started arguing. Patterson was making frantic phone calls. Diane leaned over and whispered, I think we broke them. The settlement took 3 more weeks to finalize. But the end result was everything I'd wanted. I got Reed Technologies. Not just partial ownership. Not just a payout. The whole company. Marcus got nothing. Well, not nothing. He got to walk away without criminal charges. Theft of intellectual property could have meant jail time. Diane had made sure he knew that. He signed the papers without looking at me. Left the final meeting without a word. Vivian was fired the same day. Turned out she'd known the code was stolen. She'd helped Marcus present it as his own. That made her complicit. She didn't go quietly. She screamed at me in the parking lot. Called me every name she could think of. Said I was ruining Marcus's life. I just smiled. No, I said. He ruined his own life. I'm just making sure he can't ruin anyone else's. Taking over Reed Technologies was terrifying. I had 53 employees. Multiple ongoing projects. Contracts to fulfill. Investors to reassure. A reputation to rebuild. And I'd never run a company before. But I learned. Fast. I brought in consultants. Read books. Took online courses in business management. Worked 16-hour days. I met with every employee individually. Told them the truth about what had happened. Showed them the evidence. Asked for their trust. Most stayed. A few left. The ones who'd been loyal to Marcus couldn't stomach working for me. That was fine. I hired new people. Diverse people. Talented people who'd been overlooked because they didn't fit the typical tech bro mold. I hired 3 women with computer science degrees who'd been working in retail because they couldn't break into tech. I hired a brilliant programmer who was 58 years old and had been told she was too old. I hired a self-taught developer from Africa who'd been rejected from every company because he didn't have a prestigious degree. I built a team of people who'd been underestimated, just like me, and we got to work. First priority, actually building the inventory management system Marcus had promised. I couldn't use my original inventory IQ code. I'd sold that to a startup incubator for $250,000. They were going to launch it as an open-source project, free for small businesses to use. Exactly what I'd always wanted. But I could build something better. Something designed for larger businesses. More features. More scalability. Better integration with existing systems. My new team and I worked for 6 months straight. We built it from the ground up. Tested it obsessively. Refined it endlessly. When we launched, it was spectacular. The press coverage was massive. Elena Reed delivers on promise her husband couldn't keep. Reed Technologies launches revolutionary inventory system under new leadership. The revenge is complete. Elena Reed succeeds where Marcus Reed failed. The system was good. Really good. Within 3 months, we'd signed 10 major clients. Within 6 months, 20. Within a year, Reed Technologies was profitable again. But I wasn't done. I rebranded the company. Reed Technologies became Visibility Systems. A name that meant something. A name that represented what I believed in. Making the invisible visible. Giving credit where it's due. Seeing the value in people and ideas that others overlook. I made James our technical consultant CTO. I promoted Maya, one of the women I'd hired from retail, to lead developer. I brought in Sophia Okafor, the self-taught programmer from Nigeria, as head of innovation. I built a company culture based on respect. Collaboration. Actual meritocracy, not the fake meritocracy of tech bros promoting their friends. We thrived. 2 years after I took over, Visibility Systems was valued at $50 million. We had 200 employees. Offices in 3 cities. Awards for workplace culture and innovation. Richard Castellano invested. So did other major venture capitalists. People wanted to be part of the success story. More importantly, people wanted to work for me. Our application rate was insane. Talented people from all over wanted to join a company that actually valued them. I'd built something real. Something good. Something mine. But the best part? The part that made everything worth it? The Gala. 1 year after the settlement. Exactly 2 years after the night Marcus destroyed me. The Grand Meridian's Spring Gala. I received an invitation. Of course I did. I was now the CEO of a successful tech company. A rising star in Seattle's business community. The invitation sat on my desk for a week. I wasn't sure I wanted to go. Wasn't sure I wanted to return to the place where everything fell apart. But then I thought, this isn't where everything fell apart. This is where everything began. I bought a dress. Not blue this time. Red. Deep dark red. The color of wine. Of blood. Of power. I bought new shoes. Got my hair done professionally. Had a makeup artist come to my apartment. When I looked in the mirror, I didn't recognize myself. But this time it was because I looked better. Stronger. More myself than I'd ever been. I arrived at the gala at 7:30. Fashionably late. The ballroom looked exactly the same. Crystal chandeliers. Marble floors. Ice sculptures. But I was different. Everything was different. I walked in alone. Head high. Smile confident. People turned to look. Then they started whispering. That's Elena Reed. That's the woman who took down Marcus. That's the CEO of Visibility Systems. I accepted a glass of champagne from a passing waiter. Took a small sip. Let the bubbles dance on my tongue. Then I saw them. Marcus and Vivian. Together. Of course. Standing near the bar, both holding drinks, both looking uncomfortable. Marcus had aged. He looked older than his 40 years. Harder. Meaner. Vivian had gained weight. Lost some of that polished shine. Her dress was nice but not spectacular. Her smile was forced. They'd gotten married 6 months ago. I'd heard through the grapevine. Small ceremony. His parents hadn't attended. Marcus had tried to start a new company. It failed within 3 months. Now he worked as a consultant. Making decent money but nothing like before. Vivian worked with him. They were partners in business and in life. I almost felt sorry for them. Almost. I walked toward them. People parted to let me through. Everyone watching. Waiting to see what would happen. Marcus saw me coming. His face went pale. Then red. Then pale again. I stopped in front of them. Smiled pleasantly. Marcus, I said. Vivian. How nice to see you. Marcus's jaw was clenched so tight I could see the muscle jumping. Elena, he managed. I wasn't sure you'd be here, I said. Given everything. We were invited, Vivian said defensively. Of course you were. Everyone who's anyone is invited to these things, right? I looked around the ballroom. Such a beautiful venue. Very memorable. A lot of important things happen here. Marcus knew what I was saying. Understood the reference. His hands tightened on his glass. I saw you were nominated for Entrepreneur of the Year, I continued. My tone was light. Conversational. Visibility systems. Very impressive growth. Thank you. Must be nice, Vivian said. Her voice had an edge. Taking over someone else's company. Riding their coattails to success. I looked at her. Really looked at her. Saw the bitterness. The regret. The knowledge that she'd hitched herself to the wrong horse. I didn't take over someone else's company, I said quietly. I took back what was stolen from me. There's a difference. You destroyed Marcus's life, she hissed. No, I said. Marcus destroyed his own life. I just made sure he couldn't destroy mine too. Richard Castellano appeared at my elbow. Elena. There you are. I've been looking for you. There's someone I want you to meet. He guided me away. But not before I looked back at Marcus one more time. He was staring at me. His eyes were full of something I couldn't quite name. Regret? Anger? Loss? I didn't care. I felt nothing when I looked at him. Not anger. Not satisfaction. Not even pity. Just nothing. He was irrelevant. A chapter I'd closed. A mistake I'd learned from. I turned away and didn't look back. Richard introduced me to Sandra Hayes, the venture capitalist from that first gala. The one who'd been there when Marcus humiliated me. Ms. Reed, she said, shaking my hand. I owe you an apology. I was there that night 2 years ago. I saw what happened. I should have spoken up. Should have questioned Marcus's story. Instead I stayed silent. I'm sorry. I was surprised. Thank you. That means a lot. I've been following your success with great interest. Visibility Systems is doing remarkable work. I'd love to discuss potential investment opportunities. We talked for 20 minutes. About business. About growth strategies. About the future. She treated me like an equal. Like someone worth listening to. It felt good. More people approached me throughout the night. Some to apologize for believing Marcus. Some to congratulate me on my success. Some just to introduce themselves and express admiration. Thomas Wu, the competing tech CEO, told me he'd hired 3 employees who'd left Reed Technologies when Marcus was in charge. They all say you're the best boss they've ever had. Maya Reeves, the journalist who'd first told my story, gave me a hug. You did it. You actually did it. Even people who'd never met me came up to shake my hand. Tell me I was inspiring. Ask for advice. I was gracious, friendly, professional. But inside I was laughing. Dark, satisfied laughter. Because 2 years ago I'd stood in this exact spot. In a different dress. With a different life. People had laughed at me. Pitted me. Dismissed me. Now they wanted to know me. Work with me. Be associated with me. The reversal was complete. At 10 o'clock, the gala organizers announced the Entrepreneur of the Year award. I wasn't expecting to win. I'd only been running Visibility Systems for 2 years. There were people nominated who'd been in business for decades. But when they called my name, the ballroom erupted in applause. I walked to the stage in my red dress. Accepted the crystal trophy. Looked out at the crowd. Hundreds of faces looking back at me. Some I knew. Most I didn't. All of them seeing me. Really seeing me. I spotted Marcus in the back. He wasn't clapping. Just standing there staring. Vivian had her hand on his arm like she was holding him back. I smiled. Not at him. At everyone else. Thank you, I said into the microphone. My voice was steady. Strong. This is incredible. Truly. 2 years ago I stood in this room and had the worst night of my life. I was humiliated. Dismissed. Told I was nothing. The room went quiet. Everyone remembered. The video had millions of views by now. But that night something changed. I realized that other people's opinions of me didn't define my reality. My work defined my reality. My dedication. My skill. My vision. I paused. Let the words sink in. I rebuilt myself from nothing. I took back what was mine. And I built something better. Something real. Something that helps people and creates opportunity and proves that talent and brilliance can come from anywhere. From anyone. Even from people others refuse to see. More applause. Some people were crying. So to everyone who ever felt invisible, dismissed, underestimated, this award is for you too. Keep working. Keep fighting. Keep proving them wrong. Because eventually they'll have no choice but to see you. The applause was deafening. I left the stage holding my trophy, feeling like I could fly. I didn't stay much longer after that. I'd accomplished what I came for. Made my point. Claimed my victory. As I walked toward the exit, someone grabbed my arm. Marcus, can we talk? His voice was rough. Desperate. We have nothing to talk about. Please. Just 5 minutes. I looked at him. At the man who'd promised to support me. Who'd stolen from me. Who'd tried to destroy me. Fine, I said. 5 minutes. We stepped out into the hallway. Away from the crowd. The music was muffled here. The crystal chandeliers looked dimmer. Marcus ran his hand through his hair. He looked exhausted. Defeated. I'm sorry, he said. I laughed. Couldn't help it. You're sorry? That's what you wanted to tell me. I made a mistake. A huge mistake. I should have believed in you. Should have supported you. Instead his voice cracked. Instead I destroyed everything. Yes, I said. You did. I lost the company. I lost my reputation. I lost you. He looked at me with something like hope. But maybe we could start over. I could work for you. At Visibility Systems. I have experience. Connections. I could help. No. Elena. No, Marcus. You don't get to come back. You don't get redemption. You made your choices. You chose ego over integrity. Cruelty over kindness. You chose to tear me down instead of building me up. And now you live with those choices. I was wrong, he said. I know I was wrong. But people can change. People can learn from their mistakes. Maybe they can, I said. But that's not my problem. I don't owe you forgiveness. I don't owe you a second chance. I don't owe you anything. I turned to leave. You've become just like me, he said quietly. Cold. Ruthless. Willing to destroy someone to get what you want. I stopped. Looked back at him. You're wrong, I said. I'm nothing like you. You destroyed me because I was inconvenient. Because I challenged your image of yourself. I destroyed you because you stole from me. Because you abused my trust. Because you were cruel when you should have been kind. That's not the same thing at all. I walked away. This time I didn't look back. I sold Visibility Systems last month. For $200 million. It was the right time. The company was thriving. The culture was strong. The new owners were good people who would maintain what we'd built. I could have stayed on as CEO. They wanted me to. But I was ready for something new. I'm starting a venture capital firm. Specialized funding for underestimated founders. Women. People of color. People without prestigious degrees or Silicon Valley connections. People like me. People who are brilliant but invisible. I'm going to make them visible. I still think about that night at the gala sometimes. The first one. The night Marcus destroyed me. I used to hate remembering it. The humiliation. Pain. The feeling of being so completely broken. But now I'm grateful for it. Because that night didn't destroy me. It forged me. It burned away everything soft and weak and dependent. It left behind steel. Marcus thought he was crushing me. He thought he was putting me in my place. Instead he freed me. From my illusions about him. From my need for his approval. From my belief that I couldn't make it on my own. He gave me the greatest gift possible. The fury to prove him wrong. I heard through the grapevine that Marcus and Vivian got divorced. Turns out when you build a relationship on betrayal and theft, it doesn't last. Who knew? Marcus is working for a small startup now. Mid-level position. Decent salary but nothing special. He'll never run his own company again. No one trusts him anymore. Vivian moved to California. Working in marketing. We'll never cross paths again. I'm fine with that. They're not part of my story anymore. They're just footnotes. Cautionary tales. I went to visit my parents last weekend. Took them to dinner at a nice restaurant. Not too fancy. My mother would have been uncomfortable, but nice. We're so proud of you, my father said. His English is still accented after 30 years in America. His hands are still rough from construction work. But his eyes were shining. You did it, Mija. You showed them all. My mother squeezed my hand. You were always brilliant, she said. We always knew. Even when others didn't see. I cried. Right there in the restaurant I cried. Because they had seen me. All along. When I couldn't see myself. When Marcus told me I was nothing. My parents saw me. And in the end that was enough. That belief, that foundation, that love, it was enough to rebuild on. Tonight I'm attending another gala. Different venue this time. The Columbia Tower Club. Benefiting women in technology. I'm being honored as a keynote speaker. I'm wearing a black dress this time. Simple. Elegant. Powerful. I'm not nervous. I'm not worried about what people will think. I'm not trying to prove anything to anyone. I'm just showing up. As myself. Fully visible. Fully present. Fully powerful. That's my revenge in the end. Not Marcus's destruction. Though that was satisfying. Not the money or the success or the recognition. Though those are nice. My revenge is being fully, completely, unapologetically myself. The woman Marcus told me I couldn't be. Brilliant. Capable. Successful. See? He wanted to make me invisible. Instead he made me unstoppable. And that, I think, is the best revenge of all.